If the couple owns a piece of real estate and they have determined that refinancing the property is one of the options that they would like to consider, there are certain things that they need to be aware of that are going to affect their decision on the refinancing. The first thing that they should look at is to determine, first of all, the ability to refinance. And what I mean by that is both of them need to talk to a loan officer prior to the divorce and ask them if they have an ability after the divorce to refinance that property based on their individual credit scores, based on their individual work history, and how much money they're going to have to put down, how much money they're going to need to take out of the property to pay the other person for their portion of the equity. The problem with that is, after you divorce, there's going to be some things in your decree that are going to have a potentially very adverse effect on your credit. The child support, and if there is alimony, those both affect your debt ratios considerably. And so after the divorce, if you tell a loan officer that you are divorced and you're needing to refinance that property, and they see that you have now an alimony and a child support obligation in addition to whatever debts that you've taken on, and you happen to be the payer on both of those, and you're the one wanting to refinance the house, it can have a potentially devastating effect on your ability to get a loan. If you happen to be the person receiving that money, it actually can help you, because you're going to now show as income alimony, with one exception, and that is you have to show a history of receiving that alimony. Different lenders have different standards, but if you go in a week after you're divorced, a lender may say, come back and see us after you've actually received alimony for 6 months so that we can see that that's a steady source of income. Many lenders will not use alimony as an income source because it's typical that alimony goes away if the parties remarry, and lenders don't like taking a risk that if a party is going to be remarried, they're going to lose a significant amount of money that they feel they want to have secured in order to service that debt. So a way to get around that is, prior to refinancing the home, you may want to consider, before you divorce, going and refinancing the home as a married couple. The reason that you might want to consider doing that is you're not required by law to disclose that you're going through a divorce when you apply for a loan to refinance. Together, you can likely have a better chance of getting a better rate, more favorable terms, and an acceptance on a refinance, and then refinance it, get a cash amount out that's going to go to the other party. And all of that can be stated in a divorce agreement, and written in a way that neither party has any adverse exposure or any unnecessary credit risks. Another thing that should be considered are the costs of refinancing. Anytime you're trying to access any kind of marital fund, there may be costs that are going to be incurred. For a refinance, these are called closing costs. There may need to be an appraisal done on the property. There's going to be some bank fees, some title fees, some title insurance. All of those are bundled into this big lump thing called closing costs. And most parties agree that those costs are going to be split. Now, because the parties don't come out of pocket with all of those costs, normally those costs are built into the loan again. The party that's going to have the loan will likely be paying their refinance half over a 30-year period, or whatever the term of the loan is. Just be mindful of that they'll be paying a lot of interest on that. And the other party may concede a portion of their equity. So let's say the refinance costs are $5,000, and the parties have determined that each of them are going to get $50,000 equity, but one party is going to keep the home and keep their equity in it, and they're going to refinance it and pay the other person their $50,000. And it's going to cost $5,000 to do so. They may, in fact, say, instead, I will take $48,250. Half of the refinance has been taken out, $2,500. And so they'll take a lesser part of the equity because they know that they need to reimburse the other party for half of those closing costs. All of those are things that should be carefully looked at when making a decision as to whether or not you're going to refinance a home.